Welcome to Middle Math Academy's Integers, Opposites, and Absolute Value, level number 2. This is part of our Integers, Opposite, and Absolute Value differentiated series where we have 5 different levels of challenge. Let's get started. Our learning targets today are I can use keywords to write integers involving elevation, money, and temperature. I can explain the difference between opposites and absolute value. Before we get started, rate yourself on these learning targets. 1 is the least confident, and 5 is our opening says number the number line -5 to 5. So you can see in the middle of our number line, we have 0. To the right of 0 are our positive numbers. So to the right of 0, we're just going to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make sure you're writing this down. And to the left of 0 are our negative numbers. So let's get started with some notes. Our first note today, and make sure you're writing with me, our integers are positive or negative whole numbers. So 6, -8, 12, those are all integers. Now, elevation is the distance above or below sea level. So if you're scuba diving, you are below sea level. So let's talk about some more key words for positive and negative numbers, but also for 0. So let's start with 0. If you are at sea level, we consider that 0. Make sure you're writing this. In terms of temperature, 0 degrees. And then par is in golf. In case you haven't played golf, you might see questions like this. Par is 0. So now let's focus on elevation first, under negative. Some key words for elevation that are negative are below sea level and descending, going down. Elevation positive keywords are above sea level and ascending, going up. Remember, you can always pause the video if you need more time. When we talk about money, withdrawals, that's taking money out, a signal for negatives. Loss, owe, and debt are all keywords for negative numbers. On the positive end, we have deposit. I always remember that I can almost see the word positive in deposit. Putting money in your account, gaining money, and profit. Those are all keywords for positive numbers associated with money. And then for temperature, we have decrease or going down, below 0 degrees. And positive temperature keywords are increase and above 0 degrees. Pause the video if you need more time, and then we'll do a few examples. At the bottom of page 1, it says write an integer to describe each situation. Circle keywords. You can also underline them. Example A says, a person scuba diving 15 feet below sea level. Well, I know below sea level is a keyword or keywords for negative numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and underline that. And then it's 15, so I'll write -15. Example B, a person at sea level. Well, I know when we are talking about elevation, sea level is a keyword and represents 0. Go ahead and complete C through F, pause the video, and then come back to check your work. For example, C, you should have a person hiking a mountain 23 feet above sea level. That's positive, so positive 23. A deposit of $47. Deposit is positive. You're putting money into your account, so you should have positive 47. Kayla withdrew $66. That means she took $66 out of her bank account. So that is negative. And then example F, the temperature dropped 8 degrees. That means it went down. So it is -8. Now, if your teacher wants you to, you can go ahead and get your teacher initials for page number 1, and then come back to the video for page 2. Page number 2, we're practicing the same thing. So you're going to go ahead and complete this page on your own. And then once again, if your teacher wants you to, go ahead and get their initials once you finish page 2. Take a look at the top of page 3. Make sure you're writing down these notes with me. Negative numbers are to the left of 0 on a horizontal number line or below 0 on a vertical number line. Positive numbers are to the right of 0 or above 0 on a vertical number line. The more negative a number, the less it is. So the easiest way I think to think about this is like owing money. So you have less money if you owe someone $100 versus owing them $1. Negative 100 is less than negative 1. Negative 50 is less than negative 10, because if you're in debt $50, you owe more money than if you just owed $10. Our next note is plotting a point on a number line. If you ever hear that, it just means putting a dot on the number line. And then distance is always positive. For example, if I was going on a 5-mile run south, I would never say I went on a negative 5-mile run. So distance is always positive. Let's take a look at page 3, example A. Plot -8 and -3 on the number line below. What is the distance between the 2 points? Well, when I'm plotting numbers on a number line, I'm just putting a dot right on the line. Okay, so not above it, not below it. So we have -8 and -3. So I'll put a dot here and here. And then when I'm counting the distance between these points, I'm going to make super neat loops, one loop between each number. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the distance between these points is 5 units. Go ahead and complete example B, then come back to the video to check your work. All right, for example B, it says 2 and -2. I've plotted your points. And then when we count the distance, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that makes sense because 2 and -2 are both 2 spaces from 0, so they are 4 spaces apart. Go ahead and complete C and D on your own. This video will not go over those problems. Once you finish C and D, come back to the video. Problem E is a vertical number line. So why don't you try this one on your own, plotting -4 and 1, determining the distance, then come back to the video. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. If I plot -4, negatives are below 0 on a vertical number line. Positives are above 0. And then I'll count the distance between them, just like we did on our horizontal number line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go ahead and complete the rest of this page. Then, if your teacher wants you to, get their initials to check your work. Let's take a look at the notes at the top of page 4. Two numbers are considered opposites if they are the same distance from 0 on a number line. They're just on opposite sides. So for example, 5 and -5 are opposites because they're both 5 units from 0. Make sure you're writing with me. It says blank and -2 are opposites. Well, 2 and -2 are opposites because they're both 2 units from 0. And I want you to fill this in on the number line to the right as well. So if we have -2 and 2, we can see that 2 is 2 spaces from 0 and -2 is 2 spaces from 0. They are opposites. And then our last note, 3 and -3 are opposites because they're both 3 units from 0. So in this section below, you're going to write the opposite of each number. So if it said 7 here, okay, yours says something different. But if it did, then I would write -7 as the opposite. So opposites can be positive or negative. They are the same distance apart from 0. This video is not going to go over all of the answers on this page, but to make sure you're on the right track, I'll go over this first column. You should have gotten 5, -35, 12, -77, and positive 91.4. In this next section, you're going to give an example of two numbers that are opposites and explain why they're opposites. Use your notes to help you if you need it. For example A and B, you're going to label the number line from -5 to 5. Then you'll plot 3. So put a dot at 3. And then you'll put another dot at the opposite of 3. So go ahead and complete the rest of page 4. And then if your teacher is asking you to, check in with your teacher and they can give you feedback on the rest of this page. Absolute value means distance from 0 and can be represented by these two lines. Absolute value is always positive. An example is the absolute value of -8 is 8, and the absolute value of 15 is 15. So anytime you see those lines, it means it's positive. So the absolute value of 45 is 45. The absolute value of -55 is 55. Your answers are always positive with the absolute value. Go ahead and complete the rest of this section, then come back to the video. Just to make sure you're on the right track, the absolute value of 809 is 809, and the absolute value of -77 and 200ths is 77 and 200ths. In this next section, you're going to underline or circle the number that has the greatest value. So I'm going to zoom in a little on this first one. The absolute value of -7 is 7, and the absolute value of 8 is 8. Because remember, anytime it has these lines, it makes it positive. So which one is greater? This one right here. Go ahead and complete the rest of these on your own, then come back to the video. So for this first column, I'll go over the answers. So we have 5 and 16. 16 is greater. On this third problem, 10 doesn't have the lines around it, so it's just the value 10. The absolute value of -9 is 9, and 10 is greater than 9. Should have underlined the absolute value of 25 and the absolute value of 1. Because remember, positives are always greater than negatives, and this one down here doesn't have any lines around it. If it did, then it would mean +13, and we would underline that one instead. Okay. Okay, so this next section, order the numbers below from least to greatest. Remember, the more negative a number, the less it is. So you were going to, oh, that says less. You're going to complete the rest of this page on your own, then check in with your teacher if they want you to. Go ahead and complete page 6, then come back to the video. Let's take a look at page 6. I'm not going to go over all of these problems, but I will go over common misconception problem A. Kiara says that 5 and -2 are 3 units apart. Is Kiara correct or incorrect? Explain. Kiara is incorrect because 5 is 5 spaces from 0 and -2 is 2 spaces from 0. So 5 and -2 are 7 spaces apart. Let's scroll down to our Venn diagram. Okay, it says you will have one statement in each part of the Venn diagram. So for absolute value, you should have that it's always positive. Opposites can be positive or negative. Okay, so anytime you see those lines around numbers, it means it's positive. Okay, but examples of opposites are like 2 and -2. One's positive, one's negative. And then for both, they both show distance from 0. Remember, opposites are the same distance from 0, but on opposite sides of the number line. So go ahead, make sure you have the rest of page 6 filled in, especially make sure to fill in our debrief. So in your own words, what did you learn today? How much effort did you put in during class? You're going to rate yourself 1 through 5. 1 is the lowest, 5 is the highest. And then what do you think is a common misconception or a common mistake a student might make with today's topic? Once you've answered all of page 6, you're going to go back to page number 1. At the beginning of this lesson, we rated ourselves before the lesson 1 through 5. Now that we've gotten some more practice, you're going to rate yourself after the lesson for our learning targets. Thank you for joining us today at Middle Math Academy, where we practiced integers, opposites, and absolute value, challenge level number 2. This is part of our differentiated series where we have 5 levels of challenge for every topic. If you're interested in any additional practice, make sure to check out level number 1 if you want something a little bit more easy, or levels numbers 3, 4, or 5. Have a wonderful day.